Ding dong, ding dong. Waiting for the thing to go live, yay.
There it
Ding
is.
dong,
Alright,
ding
cool.
bong.
There we go.
Good evening, everyone. Is my voice clear?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right then. I am Scrappy Fan 92, and this is Story Time with Scrappy and Friends. With me today are Harry, Pedriva, and Raideran. And right now, I am looking at a blank void on the Seas Brain Commentaries Twitch channel. We are
definitely open.
Do you not see it?
I'm refreshing my page now. So
I'm about to load it to make sure.
No, it's definitely open. Oh, it's buffering now for me, but
Oh my god.
it's there.
This is great.
okay, I see Splatoon now. I probably just need to
Okay,
refresh
yeah,
my-
I see it.
Alright.
So, hello again, everyone. We are back again. Pardon me. We are back to resume reading the Flintstones Rocky Generations, the after years reunion for the Flintstones animated franchise. So, last chapter, Fred Flintstone's adopted son, Stoney, was still hospitalized and had a crisis of confidence.
That's yeah.
Fred, in a relatively uncharacteristic turn for Fred, he just kind of laid it all out. That's his love is unconditional. So tears were shed.
Good parent moment.
Yeah. That was also like really unlike what you expect from Fred. Like we kind of said it last time, but you kind of just expect him to be like this big goofy guy a lot of the time.
Yeah, I mean,
It's more Barney than Fred,
yeah,
but
Right.
Yeah, I was about to say. Remember, Fred is that dude. I always saw him as like a little bit angry, you know.
so yeah. This again, like much like my own stories, these chapters were kind of released in stops and starts. So as far as I know, this is territory that I have not read yet.
Were these chapters like released way later?
Like I last reviewed this story in like 2012 or 2013.
Oh wow.
It says this was last updated in 2020.
Oh dang.
Yeah, this stuff has gone beyond my, I guess, peak fanfiction.net reading period. Like, it's nice when you return and then you find a story that's still technically active, so... Yeah, I guess we'll just get right into it. This is The Flintstones Rocky Generations by Chameleon777. Now, this is a family meeting, so that's why we're holding it here. Fred said as he arranged some chairs near Stoney's bed so that Wilma, Pebbles, Barney, Pebbles again, Bam Bam, Betty, Roxy, and Chip could visit later on. Stoney? At first, Stoney didn't respond, as he was deep in thought about the final exams he was set to take later that morning. Stoney, are you alright, son? Fred asked, noticing the faraway look in Stoney's eyes.
Yeah, Dad, just thinking about my exams.
Stoney replied, gazing up at his father.
I'm nervous.
Fred nodded. Fred nodded and gave Stoney a reassuring smile. You've been working so hard in school this year, kiddo, he replied in a reassuring voice. I know the last few days haven't been easy because you've been in pain. But you managed to study and also relax. Do you know when the teacher will be here?
I'm not sure.
Stoney replied tiredly.
My mom said that one would come sometime this morning.
Fred sighed and his gaze drifted to the wheelchair parked in the corner of the room. We should get you into your chair so that you're all ready when your teacher does get here. Fred, he said in a worried voice. Stoney nodded and quickly removed his blanket.
Dad, why do you look so worried?
He asked, suddenly feeling as if his father was hiding something from him.
Where's Mr. Rubble at?
I'll tell you after you're done with your exams. Fred replied anxiously, not wanting Stony to worry and end up doing badly on his exams. The accident put you under enough stress, so never mind, okay? Stony sighed and watched as his father wheeled the wheelchair over to the side of the bed. Just take it slow. Fred cautioned as he watched Stony slowly sit up and lower his casted leg to the floor. As Fred helped Stony to stand on his good leg and maneuver into the wheelchair, a nurse came into the room pushing a breakfast tray. Ready for breakfast, young Mr. Flintstone? She asked cheerfully.
I guess so.
Stony replied softly, his eyes on the book bag on a chair near the corner of the room. Fred sighed and quickly turned the chair so that Stony couldn't look at the book bag. All right, now stop worrying and eat your breakfast, he said in an encouraging voice. I'll be back in a few minutes. Stony nodded and silently watched the nurse uncover the tray as Fred left the room in silence. A good hearty breakfast of oatmeal, juice, and a bit of fruit is the best thing for you, the nurse said in a cheerful voice as she tied a napkin around his neck. Now, just relax and enjoy your breakfast. Rocky Ratrock grimaced as he lifted a large poster onto a wooden stand, while Mr. Slate, Barney, and several other members of the Gravel Pit Board of Directors sat at the large boardroom table, waiting for Frank to arrive with his proposal. As we've already told you, Mr. Ratrocket, your son's carelessness caused a serious accident that has left a quarry closed and an employee seriously injured, Mr. Slate said in an aggravated voice. I refuse to listen to any more drivel about your lakeside condos. The door suddenly opened and Frank came into the room in a suit and tie, with a briefcase in hand, and he was followed by a well-dressed younger man who was in a suit. Who wants to be Frank?
That's a good question.
I feel like Frank showed up in a previous chapter.
I don't remember a Frank, to be honest.
In the story or in general?
In the story.
He popped up in one of the earlier chapters. He's the Frankenstein's monster-looking fellow who's Fred's neighbor.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now I remember. No. Yeah. He did show up.
I don't remember who voiced them.
Neither do I. That's why I'm making you do it.
All right, it's time for me to be Frank. I apologize for my tardiness.
He said in an apologetic voice as he and the younger man came into the room.
Do we still have a deal? Oh, it's me again, Drake. Who's this freak?
Rocky snapped angrily as Frank and the young man came up to the front. Mr. Slate harumphed impatiently. Frank, the investigation is still ongoing, he explained, pointedly ignoring Rocky's temper tantrum. Once the investigation is over, we can proceed with the merge.
Is it... That's Rocky?
Correct.
Who's Rocky?
The person you just voiced.
Okay.
Yeah, you just read a line.
Right. So I'm like so out of it, dude. I'm like, you have no idea. I like just woke up, okay? Alright. The investigation would be done if you let my son out of jail and stop forcing me to take care of my only grandson.
Rocky shouted.
Gibbs not suited to be rotting in jail, waiting to be charged with waiting to be charged, while that Flintstone brat is getting throttled by his tar pit trash family. That kid should have never been working.
Frank looked confused.
Pebbles was working at the quarry?
He asked in a confused voice. No, the Flintstones adopted a son about 10 years ago, Mr. Slate replied. I'll explain later. Rocky scoffed.
You'll be sorry you messed with the likes of Rocky Rat Rock.
He shouted he shouted in a pouty voice as he stormed past Frank, the young man, and the entire board.
You'll regret ever saying no to me.
As the door slammed, the board members murmured As the door slammed, the board members murmured quietly to each other. Since you're here, Frank, why don't you share your plan with the rest of the board members? Oy, Mr. Slate suggested tiredly. Pebbles sighed as she hung up the phone and walked into the kitchen where Wilma was making breakfast for a tired-looking Roxy and Chip.
Mom, Mr. Pyrite needs me back in Holly Rock right away.
She said in a distressed voice.
I want to talk to Bam Bam before I go. Where is he at? Where's he at anyway? Mom, I don't want to stay in Bedrock.
Roxy cried in a whiny voice.
There's nothing to do here.
Wilma sighed.
Oh god, this is a roulette. Bam Bam went out for a run with Barney, and they should be back any time.
She replied, concerned by the fact that Pebbles and Bam Bam didn't seem to be spending too much time together lately.
Pebbles, can you come help me in Stoney's room for a minute, please? Roxy, Chip, eat your breakfast.
Pebbles called out as she followed her mother out of the kitchen and through the living room into Stoney's room. She couldn't help but smile at seeing the Bedrock High banner that hung on the wall above Stoney's bed, and also at the pictures and books that were on the small desk that was next to a closet filled with trendy clothes.
Mom, what do you need help with?
Wilma sighed.
Nothing. I just thought we could talk.
She replied softly.
How are you doing, honey? I'm fine, Mom. Just very busy.
Pebbles replied softly.
I'm hoping Roxy and Chip will be happy here.
Even though Wilma could sense that not all was all right with Pebbles. She nodded.
Bedrock's not as big as Holly Rock, but there's still plenty of things to do here.
She replied reassuringly.
They'll be fine.
Grandma, can I have some more food? Chip's voice called out. I really love your cooking. Wilma chuckled.
I scrolled a little too far. Hold on. Chip's already settling in, and it won't be long before Roxy does too.
She said in a reassuring voice as she gently patted Pebbles' arm.
I'll make you something to go, okay?
Pebbles nodded and after her mother left the room, she silently walked over to Stoney's desk and noticed that there was a college catalog in the garbage that was covered with postal paper. She figured he had done that so that their parents wouldn't see it. The question was, why did he do that? Letting out a sigh, Pebbles grabbed an empty slate and chisel off the desk and began to write her brother an encouraging letter. Given all that had happened to him, he could use encouragement. Alright, son, let's stop for a rest, Barney said in a breathless voice as he stopped and saw Bam Bam stop a few feet away near a rock that was near the city limits. When you said you wanted to go jogging... Bam Bam sighed and sat down on the rock, silently gazing up at the sun. Hey, Bam Bam, are you okay? Barney asked in a concerned voice, seeing sadness in Bam Bam's eyes. You want to talk?
I'm not sure.
Bam Bam replied in a reluctant voice, continuing to look at the beautiful sky. Barney was silent for a minute, and then Bam Bam swallowed hard.
Do you remember a few years ago when I told you and Mom that we couldn't come out for a visit because we were going on a family vacation to Honolulu Rock for work?
Bam Bam asked in a nervous voice.
We didn't go.
I see. Barney replied in a confused but concerned voice. What did you do instead? Bam Bam was quiet for several seconds.
We were in a bad car accident on the Holly Rock Freeway during one of our Sunday drives.
He explained, not daring to look at his father.
Some speeders came into the wrong lane and sent us into the rock rail. The car was totaled and we...
Suddenly, Bam Bam went chalk white.
I can't tell you any more about what happened, Dad.
He replied in a somber voice.
If I said anything else, Mr. and Mrs. Flintstone would be upset.
Tears of anxiety filled Bam Bam's eyes, and he hurriedly wiped them away before standing up.
We should really get back to the house.
He said in an anxious voice.
I really want to talk to Pebbles.
Son, if you ever want to talk, I'm here. Barney said gently, his heart aching at seeing his son's tears. Bam Bam nodded and pasted a smile on his face.
We should get back.
He said in a soft voice.
I'm sure that Pebbles wants to visit Stoney at the hospital at some point, and I should visit them too.
Okay, I know who this is. Don't know what she said. I can't remember what she sounded like, but Stoney Flintstone? Stoney looked up from the now empty breakfast tray and saw that a thin woman who looked about the same age as his mother was standing in the doorway in a red dress and her black and white hair done up in a fancy style. She was carrying slates under her arm and a chisel and small stand in the other hand. Just then, Fred came out of the bathroom and froze at seeing Hydia there. Ah, Fred, it's been a while since I've seen you or any of your family, Hydia said in a pleasant voice. Is this your son? Yes, Fred replied pleasantly. Stoney, this is Mrs. Frankenstone. She used to live next door to... Hydia smiled. Professor Frankenstone, actually, she replied pleasantly. I'm a very qualified teacher. Stoney sighed.
Dad, I don't think you're allowed in here during the exams.
He said in a quiet voice, silently hoping that all the studying he did was enough.
Could you take my books for me, please?
Sure, son. Fred replied calmly as he gathered up Stoney's book bag from the bedside table and walked over to the door. Your mother, the Rebels, Pebbles, and Bam Bam are going to come later so that we can have a family meeting about Roxy and Chip. They're going to be here in Bedrock for a while. Stoney nodded as Hydia walked over to his wheelchair, set up the stand, and placed a slate on it before handing him the chisel. You have an hour for each exam, Hydia explained gently. Any questions? As Fred left, closing the door behind him, he could hear Stoney answering in a quiet, subdued voice, and his heart couldn't help but ache. Stoney had been doing so well, and his accident had no doubt ruined his confidence. Frank, when did you move back to town? Barney asked as he and Frank left Mr. Slate's office after Frank had shared his proposal to merge his company with Slate Gravel Pit. I haven't seen you in years. Frank smiled.
After Freaky and Atrocia moved away from home several years ago, I decided to go into business for myself, and Hideo went back to school for a more advanced degree.
He explained as they walked away from the office and across the top of the pit.
I thought coming back to Bedrock would give me more of a chance to expand my business, and there are plenty of teaching opportunities here for Hideo to use her degree on. Right before we moved back to Bedrock, however, Atrocia came home.
Suddenly, Frank fell silent as he saw that his car, a blue truck that had a four-door cab and an empty back, had been vandalized. Freak had been chiseled into the door, and one of his tires was smashed.
Oh dear. I'll have to phone Hideo and ask her to come pick me up after she's done work.
Frank said in a subdued voice as he turned away from the truck.
She's overseeing a young man's exams today.
Annoyed that bigotry-fueled vandalism still existed in this day and age, Barney sighed. I can give you a ride, Frank, he offered in a gentle voice. Where do you need to go? I don't mind taking you there.
Thank you, Mr. Rebel.
Frank replied calmly as he turned back around.
Just back to my home.
Barney nodded. It's not a problem, he replied in a pleasant voice as they began to walk across the lot.
And that's the end of chapter 5.
I see.
Yo,
Yep.
if
That-
we
that-
stop
that-
right now, it'll be the exact length of an anime episode.
Yeah. Okay, I get. Look. Okay. Look at the length of the next chapter, and then we can see what would be best to do.
I believe
I have to walk my dog before it gets dark.
Oh,
it's a little longer than this one.
it's gonna be like the shortest episode in existence.
All right, so,
Oh, well.
so
No, it's anime episode length. It's
Yeah.
perfect.
yeah, it's perfect.
It
So,
is what
like-
it is.
We're gonna read twice as fast next week, so we can make next week's episode even shorter. Try for sub 20.
The length of a SpongeBob episode.
Oh yeah,
Someone's
11
gonna have to
minutes.
narrate for me then. 'Cause
Do we have any speed readers here?
do we have any coherent speed readers here?
Nah, it doesn't need to be coherent. We just need to hear. We just need to hear the names and the cues, and we're good.
We can have an audition for it.
So yeah, enjoy the chapter. It was just a quiet look at the trials and tribulations of a young man and his family.
Everybody's all depressed and stressed and stuff.
Yeah,
They
real
are
life,
the modern Stone Age family. Like
Yep.
I mean,
real life do be hitting them.
yeah.
the Flintstones was made today, and like if Stoney was like high school age, it'd be Degrassi, but with like dinosaurs.
He'd be Drake. Yo, Stoney's Drake.
I mean, this felt like a lot more. I don't know what the right word is, but it didn't seem as real as the last chapter, at least.
I mean, this one felt like it was just like kind of going through some specific things
Yeah.
to maybe show
I
that
don't
something
know,
that
but-
happens in chapter 6.
Yeah.
Can't say
I
I'm not even
realized,
sure.
yeah, Stoney's Drake. That's crazy.
You sure about what?
Can't say. I'm not sure if I can call it less real. I guess between the vehicular accidents and the act of bigotry for Frank Frankenstone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, his wife and kids. Yeah, they're also canon. I think I mentioned this. They were introduced like in the late 70s or early 80s. In the original show, Fred and Barney had neighbors named the Creepleys, who were, I guess, like possibly sent up to the Munsters. Because that was actually when did the Munsters run a. It ran concurrently.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
A little-
That was just a really awkward pause out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting it.
I was just reading through.
Okay.
Just looking at Google. The Monsters, the show, ran concurrently with like the last 2 seasons of the Flintstones, I guess. So they could have been integrated because of that. I can't remember when the Creeplies were added, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was like around the same time. So the Frankenstones, I guess you could say, are successors to the Creeplies because they're just obvious send-ups for like traditional Universal monsters that just happen to live in Bedrock. Like Frankenstone, obviously Frankenstein's monster. Hydia is like the bride of Frankenstein, and then his kids, I can't remember what their monster niches were.
We may never know. It's
I
gonna
could
become
just look
lost
it up.
content.
I could just look it up, but I don't feel like it.
No. Pretend it doesn't exist. Maybe it'll eventually become lost media, and then one person will be like, "Yo, remember that one person was based off of a frog? Crazy."
Bro.
And it'll start so many different kinds of theories. Oh, it'll be beautiful.
Yeah.
Create
And
content
right.
through forgetting content, you know?
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was the penultimate chapter so far. Like I'm curious to see what happens in the next one.
And is this story like actually finished, or is it like?
No, it's ongoing. Just hasn't updated in a few years.
Well,
I mean, it's less dormant than some of the other stories we read.
so
Yo,
you
we're
said
gonna be
that
left with an anime cliffhanger too.
so you said that like these last couple of chapters were made in like 2020.
No, last one, as far as I know, was made in 2020. I don't know when this one was published.
Oh, okay. Oh,
it
yeah,
was
right.
last
Because
updated in
fanfic.net
May
doesn't.
2020.
Right, because fanfic.net doesn't tell you that stuff, does it?
There's a reason
Yeah.
I put the dates of creation in my author's notes now.
Yeah, right.
Pretty clever. Pretty clever.
Future-proofing stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I enjoyed this. So that's about all I got.
Yeah. I still can't believe
Great commentary, folks.
No, this is, I
I'm
can't.
laughing. I'm laughing at my brother's misfortune.
Great commentary.
My guy just like fall on his face and like right in front of you, just like ha ha ha, funny.
No, he just sends me a screenshot of his Snapchat saying it was not a fart.
Okay.
What's he even
Tell us
using?
later.
Snapchat. That's his real issue here. He's using Snapchat. The true misfortune.
Mm-mm. Wow.
So
Yeah, I just don't
yeah,
have much to say about the one chapter. It kind of just like came and went, you know.
Yeah, that went by so fast.
It came and went, but it decided, yeah, I'm gonna hit you in the feels.
Mm-mm.
pretty much. Don't worry, folks. We'll have plenty of long chapters that fatigue us to no end just very soon. But
We're just taking
not-
it chill right now.
We're taking our sweet time.
Yeah, it's like,
Yep.
oh well.
Like we'll finish the
I mean, it's-
story.
If anything, this gives us more time to figure out what we're doing after this.
We'll finish the story next week or whenever we reconvene. And well, I do actually have a story idea on deck, but I'll probably have to reread just to make sure it's on the up and up. So
Fair enough.
yeah, we have content. That's nice to say that.
Oh wait, we actually have content?
But wait, there's more.
Yes, we do have content.
Yo, that's crazy. I can't wait.
So that's about all I've got for today. I have to go walk my dog now.
Alright.
Let the dogs out. Alright, I guess we'll just end it with that. Bye.
Bye bye.